You're listening to the Walt's World Podcast, brought to you by the Lost Bros Trading Co. Join your hosts, John and Kaylee, as they banter about all things Disney, including Disney parks, resorts, dining, fashion, and movies. They'll keep you up to date with the latest Disney news and rumors, and they'll share their best tips and insight to make sure you have the best Disney vacation possible. So to all who tune into this happy place, welcome. It's the Walt's World Podcast.
What's going on, friends? It's Tuesday, June 12th, 2018, and this is episode number 7 of the Walt's World Podcast. I'm your host, John, and with me, as she is every week, is my favorite co-host, Kaylee.
You mean your only co-host?
Well, it doesn't matter. You're my favorite, regardless of whether you would be my only co-host, or if we had like 10 other co-hosts, you would still be my favorite, Kaylee.
Well, hello, everyone. It's so nice to be here.
Yay, our favorite.
Yes.
So, this week, we are talking about a subject that we cannot wait to talk about. Our hate fire has been fueled, and we are ready to just explode our pet peeves, our Disney pet peeves on all of you guys. Now, these are just our pet peeves. These are not directed to any specific person or anyone. It's just things that we've experienced in the park that just frustrate us or make us mad or annoy us. Super annoying things that happen to us in Disney parks. Pet peeves. And these are going to be involving shows, walking down the street, the transportation system, parking lots, monorails, hotels, resorts. It's going to encompass all facets of Disney. So, everybody hold on, because it's going to be a crazy next few minutes.
Brace yourself, please.
I've been waiting for this episode for weeks. For weeks.
Well, I think it's a little different, too, when you are coming down to Walt Disney World on vacation, as opposed to me, who goes once a week. You know, things with the transportation and hotels and other things like that don't necessarily affect me all the time. But there are definitely a lot of things that happen super often in the parks that do affect me. So it's nice to see kind of the perspective of, you know, somebody coming into the parks to visit and somebody who's there all the time, and these things are still occurring time and time again.
Right. And what it boils down to, a lot of these boil down to, as I was looking back over my list of things, is it just boils down to being aware that you're not the only human being in the park. Like, that's what a lot of these boil down to. You're not the only person at Disney, everybody. Let's be a little courteous of each other.
Well, let's just have some manners. That's just what I want. Manners.
I'm cool with that. All right, let's jump into it. Here we go. I hope everybody's ready. The first Disney pet peeve for me is when groups of 4 or more people are walking through the park shoulder to shoulder, meaning they're in a line, not a single file line, they're side by side. So you've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people walking shoulder to shoulder through the park. Now, not many places at Disney World have wide open areas, right? Especially the Magic Kingdom. There's not a lot of wide open areas. Animal Kingdom, same way. Very more narrow walkways. But for some reason, people feel the need to have to walk side by side through large crowds of people. Now, I caveated this with saying groups of 4 or more, because I don't know why, but 3 and less, like, I understand, like, if there's 3 of you, you don't want to be that person that's like behind the other 2, like being left out of the conversation and planning of where to go next. I get that. So I'm cool with 3 people walking shoulder to shoulder. That's okay. But if you got 4 people, walk 2 in the front, 2 in the back.
Common courtesy. Come on. It's like the road rules.
Right. You're blocking the entire walkway for everyone else, especially if you're on the sidewalk on Main Street and you're walking on the sidewalk 4 people wide. That's the whole sidewalk. You can't walk around those people.
Not only that, but If you're walking 4 people on the sidewalk in Main Street, one of you is running into a pole. Like, it's just not physically possible for 4 of you to stand side by side without, you running into something, because they're not large walkways. So why not walk 2 in front, 2 in back, like you said?
Exactly.
I don't understand. And then, guess what? The people who are traveling in the opposite direction have room to get to their destination while you walk to your destination.
And inevitably, these people are going to walk slower than everyone else. I'm a fast walker.
Sure.
Krista and I at the park, we walk fast. Like we get there, we're going. Like we're not just, casually strolling down Main Street and casually strolling through Tomorrowland. Like we're bebopping our way as fast as we can to get to where we're going. Because usually we're
serious.
Late. We're usually late for a fast pass, being honest, or late for a dining reservation. But we're walking fast.
Completely agree. On the same topic of large groups, and this is even larger groups, like I'm talking the groups of students or whomever they are that come in from out of town or could be in Florida, and they're all wearing the matching shirts, and the team leader has a little flag that she's waving around to keep everybody together, and they're singing. Why are you singing?
Or chanting. Why? I'm standing in, there was one day I was at Animal Kingdom, and it was just a huge group of people singing and chanting on the way to the safari. I ran to the safari to get in line far enough ahead of them to where I didn't have to hear that the whole time I was standing in line. Granted, I had a fast pass, and they actually went into the standby line, which worked out in my favor. But I just don't understand, especially when there's so many things going on at the parks, music-wise and entertainment-wise. Why are you singing and chanting and doing all these annoying things? Yeah, Lower your voice, please. There's nothing wrong with being in a large group. That's not a problem at all. It's the fact that they are yelling and chanting and singing extremely loud, and it's disrupting the atmosphere that is Disney. Like, we're not there to hear you chant. Like, we don't need to be reminded that you're with a huge group of people. Like, we can see that because you're all wearing the same shirt. Like, that's fine. But we don't need to be reminded that as you chant, 100 of you marching down Main Street chanting, or before the fireworks standing up and start chanting and singing. Like, we're not here to hear you or see you do whatever it is you do.
Right. We're here to hear and see Disney.
Right.
I mean, I love the big groups. I have so many great memories going to school here in Florida, going to the parks and big groups for school and whatever else it may be. It's super fun, but we're also not walking around the parks chanting for some odd reason.
Yeah. So don't send us angry emails. Like, that's cool if you want to. I get it, but we're not trying to be mean. It's pet peeves. We all have pet peeves. Like, I can't stand when people chew with their mouth open. Like, we all have a pet peeve. Anyways, back to Disney pet peeves. This one for me is probably, if I had to rank, this is probably number 1 for me. Like, it is up there. Using a flash on a dark ride.
Why?
There's so many things wrong with this, people. It's one thing if, like, you didn't realize your flash was on, and it's a one-time thing, and you're like, oh no, oh crap, my flash was on. But it's a completely different thing if you do it every 5 seconds. Okay, here's the reason why. 1, that photo that you've taken with your flash in the complete dark, guess what? It's not going to look good at all. You know why they're dark rides? It's because there's things in the dark that you're not supposed to see that would ruin the ride. You're going to see those things in your photo. Secondly, it's dark, and you have this bright light that flashes, and guess what? It hurts people's eyes. Third...
And again... Oh, wait, sorry.
Go ahead.
And again, disrupts the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So disruptive.
Yep. And then the third thing for me, for example, the Haunted Mansion. This one kills me. In the Madame Leota room, the crystal ball, the floating head in the crystal ball room, people, it's dark on purpose. Like, when you take your photo of the crystal ball, you're not going to see anything if you have your flash on. It's going to wash it out. Little Mermaid ride. Inevitably, on the Little Mermaid ride, every time there's a Little Mermaid animatronic, someone using a flash with their camera.
And this isn't about, not taking pictures on rides, because I get it. You want to take a picture of the Little Mermaid. You want to take a picture of all this cool stuff that's happening. That's fine and dandy, but the fact that your flash is on is the real problem here. We all want pictures on the rides. The rides are so stunning, but don't use your flash.
How about we learn to use our cameras or our camera phones without using our flash? I took a couple of photography classes in college as electives, and my professor always said, if you need to learn how to take a photo in any type of lighting without using a flash. That's the sign of a good photographer. It's being able to take a photo whoithout a flash. Now, there's situations where you need a flash, and I get that. That's totally understandable. But you can take a photo with your phone, people. If you have an iPhone, you can take a photo on a dark ride without your flash. And guess what? It shows up. It shows up just fine.
And the colors are going to be way more vivid. Like you mentioned Little Mermaid. The colors are so amazing if you don't use your flash. You get, everything, every little detail that is meant to be there for you to see. You don't need to see all the other, arms and whatever else that go into actually make the animatronics move.
Right.
Because that's what's going to happen.
Another example, we were on the Tower of Terror, and we went up, and it's that scene where the ghosts turn and point and tell you to come with them, that scene. Now, there's a video camera videoing you that shows up later on if you have the photo pass thing, and it's a video of you sitting there watching this happen. And I kid you not, there was a guy that took a flash photo at that part, and so that video, all you see is people and then a big flash of light. I actually got up the gumption to turn around and be like, can you please turn off your flash? Like, why would you use your flash in that? Anyways, we were riding Soarin'. And if you've ever ridden Soarin', you know that that's not really a ride that if you take a photo, you can't see the whole screen because it's kind of all around you unless you have, like a 360 camera or something. Well, there was a person sitting in the top middle, videoing it with their phone with the flash on. It was constantly on the whole ride. Why would you do that? And it ruined it for me because all you see is out of the corner of your eyes this bright flash as someone's videoing it with their flash. And kind of segue into that, I'm going to go ahead and go into another one because it kind of is a part of this. Is those of you awesome people that use a flash when you're taking photos of the fireworks at night. What in the world makes you think, people, that you on Main Street taking a photo with your flash on is going to make the fireworks that are almost a mile away show up better? That makes no sense at all. Or the same people stand there inevitably. There's someone that's going to stand there and video it with their flash on. Why? What makes you think that's how you do it? And it's dark. They lower the lights around Magic Kingdom. It's dark, and here's this big bright flashes all around you. That's not the fireworks. I get you love the projections on the castle, but the flash is still not going to help the castle show up any better.
Not at all. No, you get the best pictures of the castle and of the show that's going on the castle without a flash.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the whole point. And, my next one ties into the fireworks show. People who are using said phones with flash photography, who are holding them up and obscuring my view.
Yeah.
You're not only taking not good pictures because you have the flash on and it's 10 p.m. at night, you're also blocking my view. So now I'm annoyed that a constant flash is going off, and I'm annoyed that you're blocking my view again. Put your hand down, get a nice little camera stand like a lot of people do. Set up your camera, leave it there. You don't touch it the whole time. It just records. That's fine. It's not going to be all the way up in the air. You know, your hands lifted all the way up. You're 5 foot tall or taller, blocking my view.
Or just hold it in front of your face. Like, I know, like, there's people in front of you and you got to see over them. But, I mean, if you hold it in front of if you can see the castle and you hold it in front of your face, guess what? It's going to be able to see the castle too. Like, you can do that too, people.
You know, holding it up higher doesn't get you a better picture.
Let's just keep the cameras below our head. Like, if we can just keep them below the crown of our head, that would be fantastic. Yeah, I got you on that. Let's stay on this whole idea of putting stuff up in the air. Okay. I think kids are great. That's the whole reason Disney World is there, is for kids. Kids should have the best view of the parades. They should have the best view of the fireworks. They should have the best view of everything that happens there. But if for them to get the best view of everything that's happening there means that you have to put, 6'5" person has to put your kid on your shoulders, and you've now made like a mega person who's now like 8 foot tall, like that blocks so many people's view.
My whole thing with that as well is, and this goes into my next one, ties in exactly like yours, grown adults. Like, I'm talking, okay, they're not adults, they're teenagers. 16, 17, it's not cute. It's not cute. You're tall enough to be able to see. So why are you getting on your friend's shoulders for the duration of the fireworks? A, you're killing your friend because you're, a 16-year-old teenager who cannot stand on their own.
You're gonna have serious back problems.
And B, you're blocking other people's views. And going back to the child thing, why not just hold the child in your arms?
Yes.
Chances are, if you're holding the child in your arms, their head is pretty close to where your head is. So if you can see, I'm almost guaranteed that the child could see as well.
Yes. I'm always, if we're waiting on the Festival Fantasy Parade or Move It, Shake It parade, dance party thing, or fireworks, and there's kids behind me, I am happy to move out of the way and let them stand in front of us. Like, we've done that where I'm only 5'9", I'm not super tall, but I'm taller than a 5-year-old. So I let them stand in front of me. I'm okay with that because I can see over them. I would rather them see up close than for me to, because I can see over their head. It's totally okay. Now, my wife is only like 5'1", 5'2", so she's not super tall. And so she has this problem where people will be putting kids on their shoulders, and she can't see nothing when that happens. And so we're always having to like kind of lean or move. That's why we try to stand near a trash can, because if you're standing near a trash can, that gives you at least some buffer room to keep people away from you a little bit, because they can't stand wherever the trash can is. So it kind of gives you a little buffer room. Hey, put your kids, set them on the trash can. That's okay. Don't let them stand up on it, but set them there. That's fine to me. Like, that's much better than putting them on your shoulders and creating someone who's now 8 foot tall. It's a courtesy thing. Like, I know your kid's the most important thing. That's great. No one else matters, but everyone else kind of does matter. They're wanting to have the same experience that you're wanting your kid to have, and so on. So there should just be a rule. Disney's like, take your kid off your shoulders, or things like that. I know it gets crazy and they can't do everything, but.
Another one of mine, I was watching the Lion King. What am I trying to say?
The Festival of the Lion King?
Yes. No. I was watching Festival of the Lion King, and yes, it's stadium seating, okay. But this toddler, now I'm talking, young kid, probably not even a toddler, who could sit in a seat just fine and see. The parent stands the child up on their knees. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? It's stadium seating for a reason. It's supposed to be easy for everybody to see. Set them on your lap. That's perfectly fine. 2 heads right there at the same level. That's fine. But why are you letting your toddler or young kid stand on your knees during a show? And now you're blocking my view. And I'm too nice to ask you to take your child down, because that's just kind of, I don't really want to get into that. But it goes back to just the courtesy thing. Like, who's around you? Who's behind you? Like, just take a look and see before you do something, you know? It'd be one thing if the show was completely empty or, you know, whatever it may be, but chances are that's not the case. So you putting your child on top of your knees to stand when it could easily sit on your lap is just very frustrating.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't had that happen, but, you know, it does happen.
I was floored when I saw this. I was like, is this really happening? But it was, and it did.
There comes a point in our vacation where I just kind of have to be like, okay, I've seen this show like a dozen times. If I don't have the most perfect view, I'm not going to get mad about it. But there comes a point where you kind of just get frustrated because they're obviously the person that's blocking your view or something like that just doesn't care about anyone else around them. I think that's what frustrates me, is that lack of self-awareness. I feel like this episode has turned into just a social commentary on the world in general.
I know, right?
Wait, who knew this was a political podcast? But all right. That kind of goes into another one of yours concerning headwear in shows.
Yes, it does. And this bothers me because I always take my ears off during the shows. Even if it is a stadium seating, you know, even if there's really nobody sitting behind me, I'm taking them off because I don't want to be obscuring anybody's views. It's just a common courtesy. Again, there could be a little kid behind me who's going to be bobbing and weaving the whole show trying to get around my ears. So I would appreciate it if I'm sitting behind you and you're wearing ears, that you would take them off. And there are stadiums in Disney that are not, you know, the stadium seating that, you know, kind of goes low to high. So when you're all the same level, that's even worse.
Right.
Take your ears off.
And that's...
I don't think it's rude to ask either.
No, I don't think so either.
You know, they're so easy. You know, it's not like I'm... You know, asking somebody to take down their child is one thing, but asking somebody to just simply remove a headband off of their head is completely fine, in my opinion.
Definitely.
But, you know, I will speak for myself. I always take them off. So if you want to sit behind me during a show...
Be like Kaylee, everybody. Perfect like Kaylee.
Yep.
She's the perfect Disney park tourist. Jeez. Stopping to talk or look in your stroller or look at the map in the middle of where everyone is trying to walk. We've all had this happen. We're walking through Epcot, looking around, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the family of 5 stops right in front of you to get something out of their stroller. And you have to dodge them like it's lava. All you have to do is say, oh, we need to get this out of the stroller, and veer to the left or veer to the right and get out of the main walkway of people and avoid that. That is something I always do if, like, hey, I need to take this photo, or hey, I need to check this text message, or hey, let's stop over here because I don't know what we're doing. Like, we don't just stop. Like, we move over to the side because everyone's walking. Why would you want to block up that entire walkway?
Not only that, but why do you want to be bumped into? Because chances are the people behind you do not have enough time to stop as short as you did. You know, it's like you're driving a car. You want to, you want to get in a little fender bender because you stopped short. No,
that's a great analogy.
Just pull it over to the side. And this goes with another one of mine as well. Is I go often to the parks with my aunt who is in a scooter. And it is so incredibly infuriating when somebody stops right in front of her, because then she's having to immediately stop her car and get the little whiplash from having, because those things go. She's cruising along on her scooter and somebody just stops right in the middle, or stops and turns around because they're going at, they're looking for the rest of the party. All of a sudden, when the party's been 10 feet behind them for 5 minutes, they finally decide to check. And then she's having to automatically, let off her scooter and stop. And then it's just a whole chain reaction. Like, it bothers me so much. And I know, people have problems with scooters and strollers getting in the way all the time.
Oh, we're going to talk about it.
Right. But, you kind of have to think about the people who are riding in the scooters as well, because their chances are they're getting just as frustrated as you are, if they're getting too close to you or whatever, because nobody wants to get, nobody wants a stroller or a scooter, right on their heels.
Oh gosh,
That's not fun.
It hurts so bad.
It does. And it's so uncomfortable, because then you're just worried the whole time that you're going to get ran over. Nobody wants that. So if you're stopping, move over, so that way people on scooters, on wheelchairs, don't have to stop so quick and do a little whiplash, chain reaction with everybody behind them. It's frustrating.
It's good. Now, there are times where you got to stop all of a sudden because, something fell, or, your shoe came off, or a kid dropped their binky, or something fell, that kind of thing. I get that. That's totally okay. But if you're just stopping to see oh, is this where we're supposed to go? And you just stop for no reason, or you just stop to look at your map, or you just stop to text, or you stop to take a bite of the food in your hand or something like that, that's where the issue is. And I've gotten to where guess I'm a fast walker. I'm pretty close to the people in front of me, not right on top of them, but I'm pretty close. And I've gotten to where if someone stops, I will just stop too and just wait there and look at them and just what you just did. You just stopped right in front of all these people. And I'll just stand there until they decide, they look at me and realize, oh, I'm sorry. And they usually apologize, but that's my passive aggressive way of being yeah,
forcing the apology.
I showed you.
No,
that's what you get.
Just, like I said, it's hard. It's exactly like driving a car. It's hard to stop short when you're not expecting the person in front of you to stop. So sometimes, you do run into people and other, unfortunate things like that. That's why it's better if maybe you just step off to the side and you don't have to cause, a whole domino effect of people bumping into each other.
Let's shift gears here for just a second and talk a little bit about Disney transportation. Pet peeve with Disney transportation. Now, I'm not talking about Disney doing something that annoys me, because there's a lot of things that Disney transportation does that just annoys the living crap out of me, people. But I'm talking about people on Disney transportation. So, if you've never ridden Disney bus to the resorts or to another park or things like that, what happens is they always load scooters first. Totally understandable. The scooter needs to get in there and get parked, and they need to tie it down and strap it down or whatever. I am all for that. The problem is when a scooter goes onto a bus, it takes up 3 seats. 3 seats have to be folded up where the scooter goes. Okay? Now, the person who rode the scooter sometimes, and this is where the peeve comes, the person who is on the scooter drives it onto the bus, parks it. They will then proceed to get off of the scooter and sit in a seat. Now, they don't have to get off the scooter. I've researched today and looked around to find the rules. They don't have to get off the scooter. They can stay on the scooter if they want to. But 9 times out of 10, the person gets off the scooter and takes up a seat. So now their scooter has taken up 3 seats and their butt has taken up a 4th seat. So one person is taking up 4 seats on a bus. Now you might not think, well, that's fine, I'll just stand. Well, when there's 300 people waiting in line to go back to the Art of Animation Resort at midnight at Magic Kingdom after you've been standing all day long, the last thing you want to have to do is stand any longer than you have to. But here comes the scooter person taking up 4 seats. People, just stay in the scooter. Stay in the scooter. You're safe. It's okay. Stay in the scooter. Give that seat to an elderly person, or give that seat to a little kid.
Exactly.
I'm fired up.
I can see that. There's one thing, if the bus is empty or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Sure, you want to, I can almost guarantee that scooters are not comfortable on the butt for all day things. I'm sure it gets uncomfortable after a while. So maybe you want to transfer into a different seat. I get it. But if it's at night and the buses are completely crowded,
or in the morning,
people are jamming in there, or in the morning, exactly, people are heading to the parks. It goes back to the common courtesy thing, and you are safe. They lock the scooters in or the wheelchairs in. They're not just going to, let you and your scooter roll around.
You're probably safer sitting in the scooter than you are standing holding on to the railing, or standing holding on to one of the little dangly, things that you hold on to when you're standing. And that goes, staying on the bus topic, I'll just kind of stay on that for a second. There are, I'm all about letting kids sit in seats because kids get tired, their legs are tired after a long day, all that stuff. And I'm always the one to give up my seat whenever, a pregnant woman or a woman carrying a kid or a lady just that looks exhausted that needs to sit, or an older person. I'm always the first one to offer my seat to somebody on the bus at night or in the morning or whatever. But what frustrates me is when you have an adult and they have a kid, and the kid is obviously, less than 4 years old. A kid that could sit in your lap, okay? But yet they place them in a seat when they could just be sitting in your lap. Now, if every parent would just have a kid that was able to sit in their lap, just sit in their lap, then there would be extra seats for other people to sit down in. Time after time, I have seen elderly person after pregnant woman having to stand on the bus because your 2-year-old has to sit in a seat beside you and not in your lap.
Yeah.
That's just frustrating for me. I don't know.
It's the common courtesy. It's the common courtesy thing. Be aware of who's around you. Everybody's exhausted, but let your child rest in your arms, Maybe you're exhausted from having, your kids all day and it being, a crazy day at the parks. I understand, but everybody's exhausted, you know?
We're all tired. Let me tell you a bus horror story from our last trip in May. Hollywood Studios, we saw Phantasmic, got out of there, got to the bus stop. Right as the bus pulled up, there was only a few people in front of us. Feeling great about it. We're going to get on here. We're going to get back to the resort before the huge rush of people come out from the Star Wars fireworks. Get on the bus, sitting down, enjoying the nice air conditioning, sitting there. And then, of course, the bus gets just crammed full of people because everybody's wanting to go back. Well, I give up my seat. The bus, it took an hour and 10 minutes to go from Hollywood Studios to Pop Century. We were in the parking lot for an hour. We were in the parking lot, not like in the bus stall area, but we'd already pulled out. We were in the parking lot for an hour. An hour, Kaylee. I get being tired. That was miserable, horrible experience.
What was the reason?
Just all the
why?
construction that's going on where they're redoing parking lots and all that stuff. There was only one way out of the park that night because of the way that they routed everything. We literally could have walked to Pop Century. You can almost see Pop Century from Hollywood Studios. That's how close it is. It's crazy. That was the craziest thing. But it just gets back to my idea. There was on that bus, there was tons of 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-olds with their own seat on the bus.
And there's people standing for an hour.
Yeah, an hour. I mean, cram packed. I had people all up on me. And after a long day at Hollywood Studios in 90-degree weather, you don't want people all up on you. That's the last thing you want.
Absolutely not.
With all of our arms up in the air, holding onto the handbar, of course. Yeah, it was a horrible experience. But anyways, that's neither here nor there, but that's just a little tidbit.
While we're on the topic of being crammed into places with people, standing in line. Do not get close to me in line. I don't want to smell your breath. I don't want to smell your BO.
We're just dropping it. Don't be a stinky Pete, people.
Please do not be a stinky Pete and stand next to me. But it's not. This is not even about that because I understand the parks are hot and sweaty. I can't imagine that I smell like, sunshine and peaches when I'm at the parks.
All the time.
I definitely don't. And it's not about the BO. I have BO. We all have BO. Whatever. This is not the point. The point is, if you are in line behind me and you are constantly hitting my backpack, stepping on my shoes, touching my arm, I'm going to turn around and give you a nasty look. And it's not going to be fun for you if you continue to do it and I have to say something. It takes a lot to get me fired up, especially because I'm pretty timid when it comes to saying things to people, especially strangers. So if you continually touch me in line, it's not getting you on the ride faster, just so you know. The line's not moving.
But the
any
cast
quicker.
member says stay close to the party in front of you, Kaylee. The cast member
Yeah,
tells
stay
them
close,
that, though.
not, ride on their heels, step on their flip-flops close.
I
Like,
already have a backpack. I don't need you to be my other backpack.
no, exactly. Oh, and I hate that too. And I can feel people bumping into my backpack. Don't bump into my backpack, please. I don't know. It just
What
bothers
do you need?
me.
Like a 2-foot buffer, a 1-foot buffer? What are you needing?
I need to be able to reach my arm out and you not be there.
Wow. So we were talking like 2.5
That's kind of
feet.
like
Jeez.
that's kind of like a lot, but
is a lot.
that's dramatic. But just enough. It's personal space. I just need my personal space with my party. Like I said, we're all at the parks. We're all stinky Pete's. We all are exhausted. And all of these things start building up. And then if you keep touching me, you're going to push me over the limits.
Jeez, I feel bad for Cheddar Biscuits right now.
Ooh, I get fired up. No, because he gets fired up about it too, because it's just like,
You're both like, don't touch
like,
me.
Like, back
Don't touch
up.
me.
Just back up.
Don't touch me.
You
I don't want to
know?
hold your
Like,
hand right now. I'm hot. Hey, I've been there.
No.
I say, Krista and me both say that to each other. We're like, it's just too hot right now. Don't we're way too close.
Like, just get away.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. But it's fine if you and your party are close and touching, because that's people you know. At least it's someone who's touching you. But chances are you don't know everybody at the park. And if a stranger is sitting behind you, continually bumping into you, and especially stepping on my sandals or my flip-flops or whatever, it's going to make me mad. And yesterday, it was raining at the parks, and we get in line for Space Mountain, and the people behind us are so close, they take off their ponchos, and it was like a second storm on my head.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
That's
bad.
back up. Take off your ponchos before you get inside. Like, what? That would be like
then
me
they'll get
carrying
wet.
around my umbrella inside and shaking it off on everybody to
I've
close
seen
it.
that. I'm not gonna
Like,
lie, I've
what?
seen that before.
I just don't understand. But that's the thing. It's just, if you weren't that close to me, your rain jacket wouldn't have grazed me to where my arm would have gotten wet. And sure, maybe it's not the biggest deal in the world and I survived and I'm alive, but it's just the point. Don't touch me. I don't know where you've been.
Let's stay in on the idea of what happens in lines, what happens in the queues for a second. I'm always about passing the time on my phone, stuff like that while you're in the queue. But when you're on your phone looking down and there's a gap of about 50 feet between you and the person in front of you because you're not looking up and paying attention.
Oh, I say go.
Do you? Yeah. That's awesome. Of course you do.
Or I'll say hello.
I think you need to go on.
Hello.
Yeah. I've been guilty of that too, though. I've been guilty of doing the same exact thing. I'll be like in the zone and looking at a photo I just took or something and not paying attention. But
Or at least if one person in your party, and this is usually who I'm talking to, if I'm in a party with a couple people and one of them's on their phone and they're kind of the leader of the group and they're not going, that's when I definitely will say something. Strangers, I'll maybe make like a little gesture to let them know if it's been like a minute or so and they're not moving. But especially if you're in your party, like, let them know, like if somebody in your party is on their phone, like, let them know that the line's moving so they can keep going,
yeah, I've gotten to where I'll just walk around them. Like, I'll just walk by them. Like, if it's a kid, it doesn't matter. I'll just walk right by them. They'll notice whenever you walk by them. They're like, oh, and they catch up. But like,
my favorite is when the parents go
and the kid
and the
stops.
kid is left behind and stops. Oh, I keep walking.
Yeah, I do too. The kid's got
your kids climbing on the walls or whatever they're doing on the little ropes in the queue.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let them have their little jungle gym time, but I'm going to keep going and your child's way back there.
All right. So the next one for me, complaining to a cast member about the wait times. Now,
Why?
cast members, they can do a lot of stuff, but they cannot control how long the wait is for a ride. Like, it's not their fault. What spurred this in me is back in March when we were there, we had a fast pass for Pirates of the Caribbean, and we went through the fast pass line. The wait was only like 10 minutes when we walked in, and so we're like, well, let's just go ahead and do it instead of trying to do the standby. So we get to the we get to the point where the fast pass and the standby come together into one line. And there's always a cast member there. That person, I always feel bad for because they get the brunt of the angry person in standby. This cast member, this poor cast member, was just getting berated, yelled at by 3 different groups because the standby line, when they got in, said 10 minutes. But on the app, it said 20 minutes, which when we went through the fast pass line, I could tell it was a little longer than 10 minutes. But they got in line when it said 10 minutes. But by the time they got to the merge point, the app said 20 minutes. And they were mad because when they got in, it was supposed to be 10 minutes. But people, the wait can change. When you could immediately walk in, and the wait changed from 10 to 30 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes. But they were just berating this poor kid like it was his fault. It's not his fault.
And what do you think that the cast member can do for you? Can the cast member just, make a path and let you cut in front of everybody who's in line before you? Like, what did they want out of that?
And they're already at the merge point. So, I mean, they've already waited the hard part of it.
Right. So, exactly. You're literally about to go on the ride. What do you want from the cast member at this point?
Yeah.
Chances are the wait on the queue, the wait for the queue is either going to be longer or shorter when you get in the line.
Yeah.
You just have to prepare yourself for that. Could be longer, could be shorter. You're never really going to know until you get through it. But what do you expect a cast member to do for you? That just hurts me.
And with that, and I having cast member friends and talk to them about stuff like that, don't try to intervene for them because that just kind of makes things worse. Just go to another cast member and let them know that, hey, and that's what I did. I went to the next cast member I saw and I was like, your cast member friend up there is just getting beaten up verbally by people right now. You need to help him out. And because I know I've been told by cast member friends, it just gets worse if another guest tries to help intervene or be a mediator in it. It's just, that's just let another cast member know and kind of go on. That's really all you can do. Smile at the cast member, things like that, and go on. With that in mind too, that poor cast member that's at the merge point where the standby line and the fast pass line come together, they have to dictate how many fast pass people can go through, how many standby people can go through. And it's not their choice how many. They're told you need, you need 20 fast pass people, you need 5 standby people. 20 fast pass people go through, 5 standby people go through. There's some rule that mandates it. Every ride's different. It's not up to them. So don't get mad at them if you see 20 people go by in fast pass and you're standing there waiting. I mean, that's not their choice. They're not going to just not let you go just because they don't like the way you look or something. That's just it's not their job to do that. But I've seen videos of people just berating poor cast members because they're like, you've let 33 people go through and we still haven't gone through it all. And it's just at that point, if I was a cast member, I'd be like, well, I'm going to let another 33 go before I let you go, buddy. That would be me if I was a cast member.
Or politely explain to them that if they would like to go quicker in the line, they should get a fast pass.
Yeah, exactly. I get waiting in line for an hour for Buzz Lightyear is frustrating. It's very frustrating.
Especially when you find out that it's not that great.
And to see all these people just breeze through after it feels like it's like if you've worked hard all day and then someone just wins the lottery and you've worked hard all your life for what you have and someone wins the lottery and they just got it easy. And then you kind of feel like you've put in an hour of time and here's these people breezing through. I get that, but they have a fast pass.
But you should also know going into this day that you're going to have to wait. And there's going to be people with fast passes. Here's just a PSA to anybody who has not been to the parks. You're going to have to wait all day. You're going to have to wait if you want your food. You're going to have to wait if you want a snack. You're going to have to wait in line for a ride. You're going to have to wait in line to take a picture. You're going to have to wait. So don't, be blaming these poor cast members who are just doing their job and doing what they're told to do by their employers. It's not their fault. It's just the fact of the matter that any day that you spend at Disney is going to involve waiting.
And not all cast members are great and perfect. I've had horrible experiences with cast members before. I mean, just horrible, that ruined the entire day. But that is very, very minuscule. There's, for every one horrible one, there's 1,000 amazing cast members.
Exactly.
But you're waiting. That's what it is. And I remember the days when you didn't have cell phones or anything like that to wait in line. There weren't interactive queues. There weren't fast passes. So everyone had to wait 2 hours for Peter Pan. Everyone had to wait an hour for Small World. I remember waiting an hour for Small World. I mean, it's the fact of life. You always have to wait. We're a fast food people now. Our world, we're fast food people. We want it now. We want it fast. And we want to move on to the next thing. That's just the way we are as a culture. And so that's what we kind of expect almost from Disney World and other theme parks too, is we want to ride the ride now, and we don't have to wait for it. And we shouldn't have to wait for it. But you just got to go in with the right mindset. It's going to be crowded. It's going to be hot. It's going to be expensive. There's going to be lines.
Yep. This again goes back to people stopping. The moving walkway on Space Mountain.
Oh,
walk on
yes.
it. Walk on it. Do not stop. There's literally nothing to look at when you're on that moving walkway. Nothing on that moving walkway enhances your Disney experience at all. You know, maybe you have the little screens at the end that show they're filming your picture. Cool. That's fine. Great. Keep it moving. Why are you stopping? And my whole thing is, you just got off a ride. Like, I understand, maybe you were just walking and it's a moving walkway at another park that we don't name on here. They have these in the parking lot, and I get it. You're taking your hike to your car and maybe you want to stop and relax. That's one thing. You just got off a ride. Mm-hmm. Keep it moving, please. And those, they're so tiny and so small that when that thing gets backed up, it gets backed up. Talk about people being a third backpack or a second backpack. Like, you have no idea.
Well, here's the deal. If you're gonna stand on a moving walkway, if you're gonna stand, no matter what park you're at, whether you're at Disney or the other one that we don't mention, Universal, if you're going to be on a moving walkway and you're going to stand, stay to the right side so that people who are going to walk can walk on the left side and walk by you.
But with that one on Space Mountain, it's honestly not even big enough to do that. Like, it's small.
Well, you could stand and turn your back to the belt.
You kind of have to turn your back. Yeah, turn your back to the railing and do it that way. Yeah, that's great. Pull your kids to the side. Do that if you want to take a moment and relax.
Yeah. Just stay to the right. Get out of the way.
Leave a little room. But like I said, once everybody is doing it and standing there, there's no stopping it at that point. You just have to wait it out. And then your less than 5-minute walk turns into a 10-minute walk because people are taking their leisure time. Like, this is not leisure hour. This is Disney. This is serious. Got to get to my next destination. Move.
I'm 8 hours late for my fast pass. I've got to get there now. Oh, man. So we've had, I don't know about you guys, but I feel better. I feel like I just had like a therapy session, Disney therapy session, Kaylee. I don't know about you, but I feel great.
I hope we didn't offend anybody. And this was not to offend anybody. It's kind of hard when you're nitpicking at the way people do things. Yeah. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
And we're not perfect. We do these things.
We are not perfect.
We've done these things.
We have done these things. But we learned.
Yes, we try to learn, and we still mess up with them, but we're still trying to learn. There's a lot of things that cause anger and frustration at Disney parks. And I know you guys at home probably are playing along with us or saying, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Preach it.
And I hope that, this helps too if you're, planning a trip to the parks. You kind of keep these things in mind as well, because these are things that frustrate a lot of people. So, just keep these little things in mind. And, chances are you'll see other people doing it and you'll know exactly what we mean. But if you keep it in mind and you're doing the right thing, then you'll just feel great and you'll have a great time. Yeah.
So tell us, we want to know from you guys, what is your biggest Disney pet peeve that happens in the parks? On our post on Instagram, comment, let us know what your big pet peeve is. So that's the show for this week. If you enjoyed our show, we would love for you to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Podbean or Google Play or Stitcher. Share with all your friends. And please, 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 please go on iTunes and review our podcast. that would mean so much to us, and it helps other people find our podcast as well when you review. And when you review, we'll read it on the air the next show. So if you have any questions for us, email us, waltzworldpodcast@gmail.com, or hit us up on Instagram @waltzworldpodcast. We would love to hear from you guys. So with that, I'm John.
And I'm Kaylee. We'll see you next week.